fight for social, economic, racial, and environmental justice.
I think the American people are going to have to say to NBC and ABC and CBS and CNN, you know what? Forget the political gossip. Talk about the real damn issues facing this country.
Hey everybody, welcome to the show. Around the Nation, right here, youtube.com/TYTNation. Jeff and Ron hanging out with you today. Ron's being a good sport, helping me out again as I continue to get over this goddamn sickness that has had me down for almost a week now. So I've been feeling like crap for quite a while now. And
Indeed,
great start
sir.
to 2017. But then again, we have so much to look forward to in 2017, don't we?
We do, especially with the days coming up. It's gonna be quite an inauguration.
Oh, we've actually got a story on that. It's gonna be a sensual event. I don't want to know what that means, man, but I know it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be a
NATO, except with poop.
Oh God, it's gonna be terrible. But we'll cover it. We'll talk about it, and it'll be a good time.
We have no choice at this point.
But hey, everybody at home, thanks for tuning in. For the next hours, we go around the nation for some of the best stories and progressive political commentary from around the web. Hey, me and Ron make an awesome team, apparently. So, according to you guys. So, thank you very much. Hey, everybody. Hey, Bryce in the chat, in the YouTube chat. Hey, man. Welcome. Thanks for watching. I see TYT's in the chat, actually, as well. So, hey, Aaron, or whoever's running the account. Nice to see you here. But, yeah, hey, it's going to be a great show. But before I get into it, of course, got to do what I always want to do. What I want to do is to thank the patrons. The guys and gals who keep the show actually running and functional and keeps the lights on, literally. So my patrons that I want to thank today, Judith Hilton Coburn and Carol Zankier. Judith, Carol, you are awesome. Thank you so much for supporting independent progressive media. You rock. Now, let's do a breakdown here of what we're going to cover today, Ron, for the audience. So let's talk about ethics. So we're going to have a discussion about the Republicans trying to attempt to gut ethics again in a different way after their disastrous failure the first time. That should be a fun conversation. And then we've got the soft sensuality at the inauguration. We're gonna see what that means.
Oh,
it has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with the recent dossier. I know we've been having a lot of fun with that. At least off the air, I've been having some fun on Twitter. And look,
there's just been a steady stream of jokes. the jokes are just flowing. It's they're everywhere.
Oh, man.
Some of them are golden.
Some
not
of them
so
are
much.
really golden. Yeah. And then some of them, I mean, I know a lot of them have been really pissing off Donald Trump.
Which is the best thing you can ask for.
The best thing you can ask for.
That is literally, I mean, I even said, like, it's time for celebrities to just troll the hell out of him on Twitter. Because this is the kind of guy, I mean, that like, Twitter activism is actually important now. Because this guy cares so much about that stuff that you can literally, I mean, once he takes office, if you have a big enough platform, you can shut down government for a day just by trolling this guy on Twitter.
Oh, it's great.
He'll issue a state of alert or something and do nothing else.
Twitter now has so much power over the presidency. It's kind of amazing, or it will have once this guy gets inaugurated. I mean, this is going to be amazing in so many different ways. I
mean, it's disturbing, but we can use it to our advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, got to use everything we can to our advantage to, not only make some cheap jokes, obviously, off this guy, but also maybe, I don't know, do some activism. Do something good. Try to make lemonade out of lemons. That was bad. That was bad even for me. Hey,
man.
Oops.
Or...
Hey, man.
Okay.
When it comes to Trump jokes, you're in.
No.
Abi Kibar, Trump, Sarkar.
And that's what we have to say about that. Now, more breakdowns of what we're going to do today. We also have the Bill O'Reilly sexual assault. Or, I'm sorry, not assault, harassment case. I got to get it right. We're going to talk about that because, strangely enough, Fox News didn't talk about that. Wonder why. And then we've got, of course, a sentence in the Dylan Roof case. So we're going to go a little heavy on that one. And then finally we'll end it with what I believe would be a defining, because we talk a lot about President Obama's legacy and how it's essentially going to be, at this point, dismantled, completely destroyed. Okay? But this might actually make a good legacy if he chooses to do so. And we'll get to that. I mean, at the end of the show, obviously. We're definitely going to get to that story. So, anyway. So let's start out with ethics, man. Something Republicans really don't like. Let's see. Republicans in Congress continue their war on ethics, this time, of course, passing a new rule to hide their records from ethics probes. Now, last week, let me give you some details on what exactly that means. Now, last week, the House GOP decided to change a rule to allow members of the House to keep their records hidden from both ethics and criminal investigations. So, they're like, hey, I want to hide my stuff. I want to hide my records, my bank records, anything like that could connect me to actually doing something wrong. I want to be able to hide it from these ethics watchdogs, these investigations. Now, the Huffington Post explains that this rule will allow these politicians to conceal any information members produce, even suspicious expenditures and budgets. So if they create this, it is now considered their property. And so, we can't infringe on their property, right? No, even if we believe that these things could be connected or related to any kind of criminal activity. That essentially makes a member of Congress the owner and sole controller of any records he or she creates, whether or not those documents touch on a public interest, such as use of taxpayer money. So if you have a record of you using taxpayer money for shady purposes that the ethics watchdog actually wants to go and look at to try to, get you from to not do that anymore, can't look at it. No. You know why? Because that's the property of this congressperson that you're trying to investigate. Jesus, man. In fact, it says that records created, generated, or received by the congressional office of a member are exclusively the personal property of the individual member, and such member has control over such records, according to the regulation. Now, this ties in, of course, to the previous attempt to destroy, to gut the ethics office, the Office of Congressional Ethics. Now, they failed to do so, but remember, Ron, I believe we had this conversation. We talked about this before, that this was not the end. They were going to try to do something else. They were going to try to do something shady, and guess what? This is exactly that.
Yeah, they're gonna try other ways to get what they want. Like I said, they're gonna try to wait for the parents to leave town so they can have their kegger, in which they're gonna burn the house down. And let's keep in mind, they just want to prevent government overreach or overreach into information. They don't like that unless, of course, it has something to do with people's rights on the internet or people's privacy that aren't in Congress, or if it has to do with a woman's body, or if it has to do with whistleblowers, or if it has to do with war. then you know, it's all in the name of security then. But when it comes to holding them accountable, ooh, no, that's overreach, you dirty ethics people.
There's one more thing too, or how poor people spend their government money. They love getting into the middle of that. They love tracking every single cent. Remember that Fox News story that they came out with? That was patently fake news, by the way. It was false. It was BS. Okay, they came out and said, "Oh my God, food stamp fraud is on the rise. It's at a record high." And the USDA, sorry, I almost said FDA. It's the USDA that actually controls the SNAP program. They came out and said, actually, no, here are our actual records. You used a record from way back during the recession when food stamp use was incredibly high. And even those records that you were using were kind of misleading in the way that you presented them. So, no, food stamp
is way out of character.
I know. The food stamp fraud is not at an all-time high. And even though, yes, it is significant in the numbers, if you just give the raw numbers, it sounds like a lot. But when you actually look into the percentages, it's like 0.1% or something, 0.001% fraud rate. It's laughably low. And actually, it's very impressive because it shows that, hey, this program does work and they do crack down on their fraudsters. But when it comes to cracking down on fraudsters that are the politicians, no. They don't want to do that. They don't even want to touch it. It's amazing to me. Now, and of course, this rule, this passed, okay? They succeeded. And this passed without a lot of notice because at the time, we were actually talking about them trying to gut the Office of Congressional Ethics. So maybe it was like a fake out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because they tried to, the middle of the night was when they were getting together for that one, too.
Yeah.
So it was like, it was one of those pieces of policy they're going to try to just push through before the public can be outraged by it.
Pretty much. And that seems like that's what they're attempting to do with every piece of unpopular legislation and anything that allows them to start getting away with stuff. And again, what this does is that this gives lawmakers that are being investigated for crimes, for mismanaging your money, our money, taxpayer money, it gives them a completely new defense. Under the new regulations, a lawmaker being investigated for misuse of those taxpayer funds, by the way, might now assert the privilege to withhold spending records from law enforcement. And had this measure existed before, by the way, certain accounts might not have been accessible for corruption investigations that did end up in charges against members of Congress. And let's be honest, there have been a lot of ethics investigations that have led to Congress people being arrested or at least losing their position in Congress. You've got some notable ones like corruption scandals, and this is not, by the way, this isn't partisan either. You had former Democratic Illinois Governor Rob Blagojevich, right, who tried to sell his seat, or tried to sell Obama's Senate seat when he got elected president. That's crazy. That's super corrupt. And without these ethics investigation tools and this Office of Investigation, they never would have found him. And then you've got former Virginia Governor Bob McDonnell, also hugely corrupt, and got caught on this corruption, but probably would not have been caught on this corruption if we didn't get to, if these watchdog agencies didn't get to look at these records. So, what you're doing, not only that, but you've got Duke Cunningham, okay? All of these people convicted of some sort of corruption, and corruption that might not have been found by this rule. It's amazing to me. And this is, what they're doing is that they're trying to make it so that you cannot, you can't hold these politicians accountable. And they're making it really easy for the current Republican Congress and Democrats too to go and rob the place. And that's what they want to do. They want to get rid of all the rules and regulations and watchdogs, and then so they can plunder the place. They can rob it, they can steal it, they can take it and dismantle it and put it in their pockets, or put it in the pockets of their large wealthy donors. And this is what the Republicans are trying to do en masse. It's amazing. I think I kind of nailed it there. Like, Jesus.
Yeah, I don't know where else. I mean, that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Like the first step of, if you want to rob a place, you remove the cops.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
or if you want to throw a kegger, you make sure your parents aren't home.
Or even so, like you've heard of the old saying, it's easier to rob a bank if you own the bank.
Yep.
If you're running the bank, you get to oversee. I mean, it's amazing that these people can vote for their own ethics rules. That's crazy. Like, who gave them that power? Why do they still have it? Why are people not up in arms? Why are they not outraged by this? Like, the whole idea that we're dismantling ethics. It's crazy. And it's not like it's targeted simply Republicans. It just happens to be more Republicans are caught doing shady shit because more Republicans are fucking shady. But Democrats are also caught. Kwame Kilpatrick, former Detroit mayor, also got caught with this corruption stuff. So it's across the board. Anybody who does these sort of shady ethics things, and try to enrich themselves off, I don't know, stealing taxpayer funds or funneling into business deals, having some conflicts of interest. Oh, like our new president-elect, by the way, that has plenty of conflicts of interest. None of that's going to come to light.
No, come on.
None of that's going to come to light. And this is what we're doing. We're destroying any accountability these people have in any ways of getting these corrupt people. Instead of draining the swamp is getting swampier, and now we're taking the people away that were actually supposed to prevent the swamp from being swampy in the first place.
We're filling the swamp with piss and not doing anything about it.
No. Well, yes. And that sucks. We shouldn't be doing that. It's insane. But anyway, nobody's going to pay attention to this. And that's the sad part of the whole thing.
No, it slipped through, man. I mean, people considered it a victory, which it was when they stopped them from gutting the ethics committee. So now they kind of had, they probably had a plan B in place all along. Well, it's like, well, here's what we'll do to kind of still get our way,
right?
And they slipped that behind closed doors. So I mean, usually when shady policy wants to happen, they find a way to get it through.
And again, it's just people don't pay enough attention about this stuff, and that's why they're allowed to do it. I mean, you got to shine a light on this crap, and try to get outraged and like, I don't know, go to the streets, man. Even do something, but this has to stop. Let's move on, Ron. All right. Let's have a little fun in this one. At Donald Trump's expense. Now, there's a lot of people out there that are expecting Donald Trump's inauguration to be an absolute clown show, me included. But don't worry, Trump's inauguration planner wants you to know that it's not only going to not be a clown show, okay?
Yeah, they couldn't. The clowns weren't available. They tried to book the clowns, but the clowns... The rates were too high, and a bunch of them were Big Bernie supporters, and we're like, no, we're not gonna go. We
don't want to sell our services to you. No, Trump's inauguration planner wants you to know that instead of being a clown show, it's actually going to end up being a very sensual experience. Well, let me explain. This is from Tom Barrack, who was the leader of the inaugural committee. And he was talking to reporters, and he told them that, quote, what we've done instead for the whole inauguration, instead of trying to surround them with what people consider A-listers, we're going to surround them with, quote, the soft sensuality of the place. That's interesting.
Wow. So they're just going to play like background porn music and be like, hey guys, feel it. Feel this. Instead of getting all the A-listers that most people get, which, by the way, we didn't get them because none of them were willing to perform.
Yeah.
None of them like this guy, so they weren't willing to perform.
I've got more. He said that it's a much more poetic cadence than having a circus-like celebration that's a coronation. Again, interesting turn of phrase there. Circus-like and Trump in the same sentence. And he adds that that's the way the president-elect wanted it. I think it will be contributive, which isn't a word. It will be beautiful, the cadence of it is going to be, now let me get back to work.
He's got a lot of work ahead of him trying to book that show. That's a hell of a task. Trying to make that thing presentable.
I
mean,
think
how many people turned down that gig? Like pretty much everybody.
Everybody.
I think there's even members of a Mormon choir that don't want to sing for that guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, I remember what's their names. I think Bush. The only act he was able to get was Three Doors Down, which is maybe the worst alternative bar rock band on the planet. And even they're not doing this thing. I mean, it's just. I don't know. I still don't know why they didn't ask the Smashing Pumpkins. But I think they're just not in the know to that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Billy Corgan probably would have done it. I mean, he's like, it's so sad.
Yeah, he's a Trump guy. He's brilliant. I mean,
what
Smashing
happened
Pumpkins
to this
are
guy?
brilliant,
but what happened? Like, I loved this guy's music back in the 90s, and Jesus, man, like, he used to be a progressive or somewhat progressive, somewhat liberal at least, and then
I don't know anything about his politics other than recent.
Recently he went nuts and started showing up on Alex Jones' show. And I'm like, are you serious? Like,
and the way he makes his cases is so bizarre.
It's bizarre.
Like, I've watched some of those clips, and after everything he says, and I can't remember verbatim what he was saying, but after everything he says, he goes, "Does that make sense?" And I'm just thinking, no, it doesn't. Why isn't it? But of course, they're like, of course it does, because you're pro-Trump. But it's like, no, it doesn't make it. What he said makes no sense whatsoever. Like, that doesn't. How did you write Bullet with Butterfly Wings when you have perspectives this bizarre?
I have no idea. It's insanity. But you know what it is?
It is an alien force, not of this world.
That's what it is.
Maybe.
It can't be. I mean, it's not.
It's not human intelligence.
It's not. So you got to put it out there. All right. Not even that guy, has said he was going to perform. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he could get Kid Rock or something. I don't know.
Kid Rock was an obvious go-to. Ted Nugent. Wasn't, that guy's insane. And the Beach Boys, but I think the Beach Boys are a little, I don't know if they're necessarily pro-Trump. I know they're Republicans, but I don't know if they're necessarily pro-Trump.
You could be a Republican and anti-Trump, obviously.
Right. So I don't know really where the Beach Boys are at. But
there's establishment Republicans. You've got the establishment Republicans that despise Donald Trump. So it's kind of an interesting. A lot of the weaker ones just bow down to Trump because Trump is he's the alpha male. He's the giant monkey on the hill that he's gonna throw a barrel at you or something if you get out of line.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so a lot of them they bend down, they kiss his ring. So, and thankfully that's the only thing that they're kissing. I hope.
As far as we know.
As far as we are concerned. But again, there's people. You're right. Nobody wants to do this inauguration. Nobody. You've got remember the tweet yesterday with the Martin Shkreli thing. It kind of makes me think of this is what a lot of the people who were approached by the Trump inauguration party were saying. Hey, you want to perform at the Trump inauguration? No, I'd rather eat my own organs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot of bands that are itching to play, but they're probably all like white power bands that
do you remember,
play really.
I remember there was a
really bad metal.
There was an 80s metal hairband guy that's massively right wing, massively pro Trump. I can't remember his name, so it probably doesn't help at all that I bring it up. But I do remember. This guy, he's huge, Christian conservative, massive right winger, and I just don't remember his name. And that, of course, means probably that he was inconsequential. But at the same time, I do wish I could remember who he was. But now, there's one more thing Barrick had to say as well. Now, he noted that Trump Well, they don't need celebrities, right? They don't need these Hollywood elitist A-list celebrities to show up anyway. No, we're going to have a better party, and it's going to have
celebrity had
it's going to have blackjack and hookers.
Trump where he is.
It's going to have blackjack and Russian hookers. No, I'm kidding. He said that Barrack says that Trump, we don't need celebrities because Donald Trump is a celebrity. Quote, we're fortunate in that we have the greatest celebrity in the world, which is the president-elect.
Fortunate for that, huh?
We're apparently somebody's fortunate for it. But basically, look, my reading of that whole thing is he's essentially saying, yeah, man, we got nothing. We got Trump.
Yeah.
It'll be sensual. And
yeah, he had to think outside of the box for it to try to sell it. That's his job. And you know what? The only thing remotely sensual about this inauguration is going to be that you would probably have a better time if you just stay home and jerk off.
And I think we can leave it at that. Because we're going to go with a story that's related on that note. Let's talk about Bill O'Reilly.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly. Now, while a lot of you might have been distracted by the Trump dossier that recently came out, Fox News, on behalf of Bill O'Reilly, just announced the settlement of another sexual harassment lawsuit. Now, this, of course, announcement is happening just weeks after Roger Ailes, former head of Fox News, resigned from the network after his own sexual harassment scandal. Now, this is from the New York Times. They report that Fox News executives recently struck a secret six-figure settlement agreement with a former network host who had accused Bill O'Reilly of sexual harassment. Now, the accuser is named Juliet Huddy. Now, she alleges that her former colleague had made numerous sexual advances towards her in 2011 when she had a regular segment on the O'Reilly Factor, and that when he actually tried to hurt her career when she refused that. Now, already, this guy, Bill O'Reilly, you know how petty he is. If you've ever watched his show, watched his segments, watched any sort of interaction with anybody who disagrees with him, or who doesn't bow down with him, or bow down to him, or with him.
Cut his mic!
Yeah, this guy's petty.
You want anarchy!
Basically.
We're doing it live!
Yeah, we're doing it live.
We're doing it live!
No, he uses his power, essentially, to go after women who decide not to sleep with him. Or to do whatever, to, falafels or whatever. So, look, let me give you some details. What exactly did he do? Again, back to the New York Times. He says the letter includes allegations that Mr. O'Reilly had called Miss Huddy repeatedly and that it sometimes sounded like, during the phone call, that he was masturbating while on the phone. Gross. He also invited her to his house on Long Island, tried to kiss her, took her to dinner and to the theater, and then and after asking her to return a key to his hotel room, basically would appear at the door in his boxer shorts. Ew.
I just imagine him like when he's talking to her, like I imagine him like trying to trying to persuade her the same way he does like his word segments, like he's like, well, now here I am standing in my underwear. Now, the liberal agenda would be for you to not fuck me. But we need to uphold good American values, and you should ride my conservative wrinkly cock. Like, I just imagine him.
Good American values of me helping me cheat on my wife.
I just imagine that's how he, tries to persuade people. Like, he sounds like he's just, there, like where he's like, now some would say I'm masturbating on the phone, but what is not clear and what the liberal media will not tell you is, I don't know, what masturbation really is. I don't know. You get the point.
We're getting too much into it. I get the point. So, okay, look. So, you might be asking, hey, why would she continue, going to the theater with him? For example, or, letting him take her out to dinner. Well, Huddy's lawyers say that their client felt pressure to continue to see and speak to Bill O'Reilly outside of the office, despite her discomfort, because, quote, he had total control over her work assignment. So this is a guy that apparently likes to micromanage everybody that's under him, or at least the attractive women that are under him. And so, I mean, when somebody has that much control, I guess she felt like, oh, if I don't do it, I'm going to lose my job or I'm going to lose opportunities. So I just got to hang out with this creepy guy. Calls himself Papa Bear, and you know what I mean? Kind of creepy.
Yeah, that's incredibly creepy.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not surprising at all, but like just infinitely creepy. That's like part of Bill O'Reilly's game.
Ugh. Yeah. No kidding. Now, and look, this isn't the first time this guy has done this skeevy, shady crap. Okay. Bill O'Reilly had previously been sued in 2004 by a former producer, Andrea Macris, who alleged that he had made lewd comments and sexual advances towards her. Now, Macris charged in the suit that O'Reilly repeatedly told her to buy a vibrator and would call her when it sounded like, again, he was masturbating. And then there's something about a falafel or a loofah or something like that.
Well, those are two vastly different things.
Those are two vastly different things.
Was it a falafel or was it a loofah?
I think, if I recall correctly, it is him thinking that it was a loofah, but calling it a falafel. If that makes any sense.
Like, I don't know. Need to buy a vibrator. Now, Obama doesn't want you to have a vibrator. He doesn't want you to have the vibrator that you worked hard to buy, so I can call you on the phone, where I may or may not be masturbating. Some would say it's masturbation. Other would say just a little bit of a massage down below the waist. You decide. We report, you decide.
Yeah. God. But yeah, no, apparently one of the calls was, hey, you should touch yourself with a loofah or something. But instead of loofah, he said falafel. And let me tell you, that is just full of awful. That whole story.
How does he not know the difference? What a weirdo.
Hey, he could have been drunk.
If he doesn't know the difference between a loofah and a falafel, I bet going out to dinner with him really sucks. You're probably limited to places that just have food on a bun.
Well, that wouldn't surprise me. It is Bill O'Reilly, after all. Anything ethnic might be un-American.
Right. Yeah. I'd imagine his taste in the theater is pretty shitty, too. Like, I'd imagine that's like... Did they make a stage version of American Sniper yet? Nope, I'm not interested. No. I'm not going.
Nope, not going to happen. But look, the whole point, though, this guy, it should be pretty obvious by now that he's essentially a sexual predator. I mean, I'm saying that. And he's going to still keep working at Fox News. I mean, this isn't impacting his job. Fox News essentially covered for him and just paid out millions of dollars to another woman. I mean, how much money is Bill O'Reilly bringing in for the network for them to keep going back and saying, okay, we're just going to quietly pay this sex scandal off. Bill O'Reilly, don't do that again, man. Don't call people while you're jerking it, okay? Like, don't call producers. Okay? Don't do it. Just don't do it. Yeah, okay. Well, maybe I won't. Maybe that's what the liberal media wants me to do. But I'm not going to do it. I don't know, but again, Fox News, man, they have a history of paying out huge damages now for first Roger Ailes, and then now Bill O'Reilly. When are these people going to be held accountable? I mean, sure, Roger Ailes lost his, is no longer head of Fox News, but when are they going to do the same thing to Bill O'Reilly? Maybe the day when he stops making them as much money. Maybe the day when he stops getting so many ratings. And again, we have to somehow reconcile the fact that Fox News is still number one rated among cable watchers, which thankfully is a dying demographic. But still, number one on cable television. Jesus.
Well, we have to ask ourselves, we the viewers need to ask ourselves, in today's thought police PC America, what kind of a world are we living in? when I can't call up a female colleague and politely stroke my bitter conservative meat hammer. I'm Bill O'Reilly. We'll be right back.
What kind of world indeed. All right. I think we beat that dead horse. So let's all get angry together. All right. Actually, this is... I don't know. I don't know how you feel about this. But we're going to talk about Dylann Roof. Now, yesterday a jury recommended sentencing Dylann Roof to death for the crime of killing 9 black church members in a what's considered a racially motivated attack. Which, if you look at the facts of it, it definitely is a racially motivated attack. Now, Talking Points memo reports that a jury had deliberated his sentence for about 3 hours. I'd say a couple hours too long, since it seems obvious. The jurors noted that during this trial, where Dylann Roof did not defend himself, he asked no questions, showed no remorse, and also addressed the jurors directly, insisting that he was not mentally ill. Because of that, he's not asking them for forgiveness or mercy or anything like that. So it was pretty clear that the death penalty is actually what he wanted to do, and it seems like that's exactly what he got. Now, he also reportedly told jurors that, quote, I feel like I still had to do it, and then given a chance that he would end up doing this again. So, obviously, no remorse. This guy is the worst of the worst. Horrible person, okay? And, look, the thing is here, we're not trying to really kind of litigate, is Dylann Roof a terrible person or not? We already know, okay? What I really want to discuss with you, Ron, is whether or not a case like this would merit the death penalty or not, or just what you would think about the death penalty in this case.
And that's a tough question. I think a lot of us are really struggling with. I do think that you can't always just be like, well, this person is ill. Because I do think there is such a thing as just pure evil. And I think that if there was somebody that would definitely fall into that category, he would. I mean, this is an evil, evil person. To kill 9 people, to see members of their families, and to feel no remorse whatsoever for what you did. That's disturbing to say the least. And it's just because you subscribe to some racist, hateful ideology. And you killed people in a church, no less.
Yeah, I mean, like,
not that the location really matters, but, in a place of worship, I mean, it's really hard. On the same note, I mean, generally, I'm incredibly against the death penalty because of, mainly because of all the corruption in our justice system.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much racism in our justice system. There's so much inequality when it comes to, you can really buy your justice if you're able to. And if you're not able to, you're up the creek without a paddle. And for those reasons, I'm very against the death penalty. And, on a moral ground, I'm against the death penalty too. Mm-hmm. But, a lot of those principles don't apply here. And yeah, it's a tough judgment call because sometimes it's like, man, this guy is just pure evil. I want to say, like, my gut instinct is I still would rather see him spend the rest of his life in jail. I mean, without any chance of ever being set free. I mean, he should never, ever see the outside of a jail cell ever again in his life. I do think that if you keep him in jail, there is a chance that maybe he could have a change of heart. I mean, maybe not, but maybe he could. And I also think that being in jail would actually be a greater punishment for him. I think this is a fearful, confused, disturbed individual that does not value life, including their own. And I think that by giving him the death penalty, like you kind of said, Jeff, you're giving him what he wants. I'd rather see him spend the rest of his life behind bars.
Yeah.
I think that would be more suiting for the crime, suited for who he is, and I think that would really, also at least give a chance for some type of redemption, where who knows, maybe something would happen. This guy would have a complete change of heart, and he would write a book or something like that, or he would give a talk. And maybe there's some other youth that are subscribing to some similar ideology from what he did, and they see what he went through, and they hear his perspective. I mean, like, I know it's a fictional movie, but it's a very powerful film, American History X, right? The little brother wasn't leaving the racist ideology when his sister told him how fucked up it was, when his teachers told him how fucked up it was. He had to hear it from his brother. He had to hear it from his brother that was also part of the white supremacist organization, and got in trouble, and then learned the errors of his ways. He had to hear it from his brother to walk away from it. And yes, that is a movie, but I think there's some kind of inherent truths there. So yeah, I think Dylan Roof is a despicable human being that is pure evil. I don't think he's mentally ill based on everything that's been available from him. But I'd rather see him spend the rest of his life in jail without any chance of ever getting out, no matter what, as opposed to the death penalty.
Yeah, look, you said he's pure evil. I think he's more of a coward than anything. He's probably the biggest
he's a
coward that I've
You
ever
can be
seen.
both.
I guess you could be.
Not separate.
I could be, but see, this guy, I mean, again, you're giving him what he wants. Now, he said that, quote, I have the right to ask you to give me a life sentence, but I'm not sure what good that would do anyway. Well, I don't know. Maybe it would give him time to suffer with his actions instead of getting the easy way out. See, and this is, I guess this goes back to my whole belief structure. Being an atheist, I don't believe there's anything afterwards, right? You don't one and done. That's it. Lights out. Okay, no suffering, no afterlife, no whatever. And so I think that is the easy way out. I would definitely rather see him suffer for the rest of his life sitting in a prison cell rotting. I mean, again, this guy, like, he picked out a church. Okay, and again, you're right. The location doesn't quite matter. I mean, you could do this in a mall, but he picked out a place that would specifically be defenseless. Specifically be welcoming and open and kind to someone like him, because he didn't have the balls to go somewhere else where he actually might face any sort of resistance. And in order to try to create his warped fantasy of having a race war. I mean, let me give you a quote here from Assistant U.S. Attorney Attorney Jay Richardson. He said, quote, "They welcomed a 13th person that night, the people at the AME Emmanuel Church, with a kind word, a Bible, a handout, and a chair. He had come with a hateful heart and a Glock 45. And the gunman, of course, Roof sat with the Bible study group for about 45 minutes and then waited until their eyes were closed during the final prayer to go and shoot, to go and kill everybody. I mean, this is the height of cowardice. And so I do think, I mean, for people who are cheering on the death penalty, I understand. Because if the death penalty is made for anybody, it is for this guy. I mean, it was made for this guy. But at the same time, I want to remain consistent. I have some serious issues with the death penalty here in America, with execution. So I don't believe I'm with you. I don't believe that he should be put to death. I think he should spend the rest of his days in prison. Again, like I said, and I've got some reasons. The easy way out. Okay, Right. And I also agree that, and you might disagree, I should say, but I feel as though that when you punish someone by killing them, it doesn't really teach them that effective of a lesson. And it doesn't teach anybody else a lesson either.
No, I do agree. And that's why I said what I said. I certainly think this guy does deserve to be punished for what he, of course. I mean, and it should be a severe punish. He does deserve to suffer in jail. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other side of that, too, he's in his early 20s, right? He's like 21, 22 years old. I mean, if he spent the rest of his life in jail, that's a long time. That would be presumably a long, long time. And if something positive did happen, if something like, and even if something positive happened, I'm not saying he should ever see the light of day again, no matter what. This guy could, see the errors of his way, write a book, give a talk, really like say that I've learned the errors of my way, and then save a black inmate from choking on his lunch because he learned CPR. He still should never see the light of day again. But what I'm saying is, if that were to happen and he would inspire somebody else that was maybe a little confused and wasn't confused anymore because they learned that that's not the way to go because of him, then I feel like that's a little bit of redemption, not just for him, but for a lot of those families and for a lot of those loved ones of the victims. So and of course, because I do think life in jail is a more significant punishment than just being put to death.
It's
so
not like,
for all those reasons,
it's not like prison is a nice place. It's not like it's Club Med. Okay, it's a pretty terrible place. Okay, but here's another argument against the death penalty in this case. You're going to make him a martyr to white supremacists. Again, I keep pointing out, it's what he wants. It's what he wants. He wants to be a hero of the worst of human beings. Okay, he wants to go to his grave knowing that he's going to be remembered for this one act, and he's going to be celebrated for what he did. And so I think like the better punishment, other than just leaving him in prison for the rest of his life, is to forget all about him. To forget his name.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Forget he ever existed. Remember the victims and celebrate the victims, okay? But let the name of Dylann Roof and the hateful ideology that he espoused be forgotten and relegated to the dustbin of history. That's what this guy deserves. This coward deserves to be completely forgotten. And that's it. Like,
yeah.
He dustbin of history, gone. It's like he wasn't even here. And I think that would be the best. But anyway, let's go to our final story, huh? I know I was teasing this one about the legacy of President Obama, and I think this. I think you might agree. Most likely you'll agree. Could President Obama's legacy be commuting the sentence of Chelsea Manning? Now, this is according to a report by NBC. Now, Justice Department source told the network that President Obama has put Chelsea Manning on the short list for a possible commutation of her sentence. Now, Manning is, of course, responsible for leaking some of these very important videos and cables to WikiLeaks that actually showed the United States doing war crimes against the Iraqi people. Now, she leaked that to the press, and for her, for actually showing what the government has done, well, she received 35 years in prison, an exceptionally long sentence. Now, of course, Chelsea Manning has not done very well in prison, as a lot of people would not. She's been actually tortured, kept in constant isolation in the prison at Fort Leavenworth. It's kind of no wonder that she's actually tried to commit suicide twice this year alone. So, I mean, you even have the UN coming out and saying, hey, look, what you're doing to this poor woman, this poor person, is you're torturing them. There was Juan Mendez, I've got a quote here, who runs the UN office that investigates torture. He told The Guardian that, quote, I conclude that the 11 months under conditions of solitary confinement, regardless of the name given to his regime by the prison authorities, constitutes at a minimum level cruel and inhuman and degrading treatment in violation of Article 16 of the Convention Against Torture. In effect, if the effects in regards to pain and suffering inflicted on Manning were more severe, they would also constitute torture. So, I mean, and some of the conditions, of course, that she was held in were solitary confinement for 23 hours a day and then being made to strip naked at night for absolutely no reason. And so you've got the treatment of Chelsea Manning in prison, but you also had the treatment of the court during her case. For example, the judge gave Manning a sentence about 10 times longer than other recent whistleblowers. In fact, her lawyer, David Combs, told NBC News, after the case, I had to tell Chelsea, quote, I've represented murderers, I've represented rapists, I've represented child molesters, and none of them received that harsh of a sentence. None of them received 35 years. So you rape somebody, kill somebody, molest a child, you'll still get less time than exposing the secrets of when Americans, the government does war crimes against another people. Is there no justice, Ron? Is there no justice in this case?
Yeah, I mean, well, I've said it before a number of times on this show and elsewhere. One of my biggest disappointments with the Obama administration has been how he's handled stuff like that. I don't like the way he handled Snowden. I don't like the way he handled Chelsea Manning at all. I think they both should have been treated as political offenses and not criminal. And I think that, yeah, I think it would be. I mean, obviously, I'm 100% in favor of him, commuting that, and yeah. I think he should pardon both of them. I think both Edward Snowden and Chelsea Manning should get pardons. But I felt that way for a long time, and I think Obama would be setting a really good example by doing that. It wouldn't show weakness. It would show critical thinking. It would show forgiveness, and it would show recognizing flaws and saying, we need to work on transparency. We need to work on diplomacy. And even though I disagree with what happened, these people had the good of their nation at their core, and I'm going to pardon them. So, yeah, I mean, I wish it went as far as a pardon, and I think it should be Chelsea Manning and Edward Snowden.
And speaking of Edward Snowden, too, he recently tweeted out his support. He said, Mr. President, if you grant only one act of clemency as you exit the White House, please free Chelsea Manning. You alone can save her life. So here you have, Edward Snowden is in a bit of a trouble himself, saying, hey, if you're going to do something, Chelsea Manning deserves it more than I do. And that's really, I mean, you can disagree with his political beliefs in some way because he's more like libertarian-ish, whatever. But you can't not look at that and say, or clap and just be like, Edward Snowden, there you go. Like, that's a good person. And so, I mean, for President Obama, hey, do you want a legacy that not even Donald Trump can undo? Because pretty much he's undoing everything else that you can do. Well, you want a real legacy, something that's actually going to excite people and actually going to, make people remember a lot of the stuff that you did. Free Chelsea Manning. Let her go. Let her go. I mean, again, how did he hurt the United States? How? She didn't. The only thing that she did was she embarrassed the United States. She embarrassed the government, the establishment, and ended up getting 35 years for it. That is an insane sentence. Absolutely insane. And besides, the article, by the way, talked about how she gave an apology before she was sentenced. You know what I think? I think America owes her an apology and a big debt of gratitude for actually showing the truth. And instead, what we had was we had the people that actually perpetrated the war crimes that she uncovered. They are the ones that got off. They're the ones that didn't have anything negative happen to them. And that is a travesty of justice. And that is injustice that continues to persist to this day. As for every day that she is still in prison, undergoing torturous conditions, there is an injustice. Come on, President Obama. You've got to do the right thing. You've got to free Chelsea Manning.
Yeah, I mean, I think this one's a no-brainer. This one's an absolute no-brainer.
Absolutely.
And I'd like to think, I haven't watched all the speech. I missed it, but it was, everybody loved it. It was what little I've seen was great, and it's like, if you don't do this, like don't let us think that you just talk nice. I really feel that when it comes to a moral compass, Obama is one of the good guys, and that's part of the reason I voted for him twice. And I still don't regret doing that. and I still will recognize that he's, by far the best president of my lifetime, although the bar's pretty low. But regardless, the best president of my lifetime. And yeah, here is a big opportunity to really do the right thing. And, here's hoping he does.
Exactly. All right. What I think we're going to do is I think we're going to end a little bit early, although I guess I do want to read a couple of tweets from you guys because we have been getting some tweets. You can tweet #TYTNation. Again, I've been getting some tweets from you guys, and I absolutely love it. In fact, I want to read a couple if I can here. Let's get to... I don't know how to say your name, but the shirt, Dark Souls. That's where it's from. So that's to answer your question on that one. Dark Souls. I love playing Dark Souls, even though I get my ass handed to me all the time, which is kind of the point of the game, really. That it's so damn hard that you continue dying over and over and over again. And of course, there's also a lot of comments here in YouTube from a lot of you guys. I want to thank you for interacting with the show. I do read your comments. So let me read one of these here. Yeah, good thing only Hillary accidentally released stuff instead of doing it intentionally. Could you imagine what would happen? Nothing would happen to her because she's already in a position of power. And that's the thing. We go after people who are exposing actual war crimes, things like that. But we, and these are people that aren't in positions of power. But when it comes to somebody who's in a position of power, we go after them, or we don't go after them for doing what they did. So, but anyway. All right, guys. Thank you for being on the show. Thank you, Ron, for helping me out.
Yeah,
today.
man. Thank you. Glad you're feeling a little better.
I'm still
crawling out
of
the hole.
I'm still feeling a bit like crap, but one day at a time. One day at a time. Hopefully, I'll be able to get through an hour by myself tomorrow. So that should be a fun challenge. It'll be the Dark Souls challenge. There we go. All right, everybody. We'll be back, or I'll be back tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern for the Thursday show. Thank you so much again. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to the people watching at home. Like and share the videos. If you haven't already, subscribe, youtube.com/TYTNation. And I want to tell you guys, remember, change begins with you. Good night, TYT Nation.